Hi, I am going to give my very famous Dr. Hoyt lecture on marijuana. I can't believe how many times I've given this lecture, and you know what? People have been very nice. They've sat through this lecture many times, and I appreciate that, totally, absolutely appreciate that, and I can't stop giving it because the thing is, my lecture has always been in the past based on what I've seen. You young people who come and sit and talk to me and what I see in you, but now what I see in you, those scientists, and I'm not a scientist, not like that. I'm not a doctor. I can't go in your brain and take a look at what's happening in there in your brain, but those people can. And so now they are seeing in your brain what I see when you sit down and talk with me. So now my lecture is just going to go on and on and on and on because there's almost like this thing called proof that what I'm seeing really exists in your brain. Here's the lecture. Get ready. Okay. So back 100 years ago, 104 years ago, when I was a teenager, we used to have this weed that was really cool. It was really nice. And you just got, mildly high. You had to smoke like 3 joints in order to get mildly high. But that's back when the THC level, you know all about THC, right? That's the thing that gets you high. That's back when the THC level was matched by those other cannabinoids in the marijuana. And this one, the THC, gets you high. These protect your brain. Right? And so my good safe marijuana when I was 14, 15, 16, 17, it was awesome because it was safe and it felt good. So now THC went way up there, and that means the only way it could be a higher percentage is if everything else is a lower percentage. So now that stuff that makes you feel so wonderfully high does it without any protection for your brain. So what does that mean? Why does your brain need to be protected? It needs to be protected for 2 reasons. Let me make sure you get why your brain needs to be protected, because I'm talking to teenagers. Your brain isn't done growing. 24, 25, your brain's probably all complete in there. But before then, it's not. Your brain needs to be growing. It needs to be developing all these pathways, and it needs to be developing this stuff called myelin, which protects it and helps messages go smoothly and quickly to where they're supposed to be going. So you get your THC and it floats into your neuroreceptor sites and it sticks and it stays there quite a while. And the whole time it's there, there is no growth going on where growth should be going on. So if you were getting high every day, let's say, I know you didn't do this, but let's say you did, from the time you were 8 until the time you were 16, right? Every day, that's a long time. I hope that never happened to you. But if I was able to go in, if I was one of those scientists, those doctors, and I could look at your brain, and I would be seeing, when you're 16, I would be seeing a brain that looks like an 8-year-old's, right? That's not good. It's because the growth couldn't happen during all those years. Nah, you don't want to have the brain of an 8-year-old. I know, I wouldn't. Well, of course not. So the other part of this is that when you get high, that wonderful experience happens because your cells are all communicating with each other. They're having this little cell connection. And because of that cell-to-cell connection, totally amplified, all the cells in your brain, intensely, you can see colors in, wow, much cooler colors than you normally see. And hear, I don't know, can you hear the birds outside my window right now? I can hear them. But if I was high, I'd be hearing them beautifully, wonderfully. And that's due to the cell-to-cell communication that's intensified, right? Here's the downside. Your brain likes that, and it adjusts to that. And because of that adjustment, when you are not high, things are kind of black and white and dull, right? So the result of getting high all the time is that when you're not high, things are dull. And who wants that? That makes sense? You already know, if you're a young person, that your friends who get high, the majority of them, most of them, get high like every day or multiple times a day, right? What do you think that's about? That's a lot of time getting high. A lot of time like kind of not doing those things that you're supposed to be doing when you're a teenager. What's that about? That's about your brain craving more and more and more, because marijuana in the brain of a young person is addicting. I'm 104 and it's not addicting to me. My brain is done growing, so those processes don't happen. But when you're young, they happen, right? So here's Dr. Hoyt's marijuana lecture. If you don't want to mess up your brain, hang out. Don't do it. If you do it, make it really limited if you can. And if you can't, get some help, because you're not doing yourself a favor. I hope that makes sense. I don't want to take marijuana away from you. It's wonderful. Please look forward to it in your future when your brain is done growing. Okay? And thank you so much for listening to me. Bye.